All right, so we got some breaking news in the boxing world tonight. Mikey Garcia has been granted promotional release from Top Rank, and I mean, it's kind of funny that this just happened just before the Pacquiao Bradley fight, or at least it was announced anyway. But I think it's fantastic, man, to see Mikey Garcia finally get out of that contract. I mean, I was one of the people that originally said that he should just try to, grit his teeth and just fight his way out of it. But I mean, you never know how these contracts are stipulated and everything. And, there can be a lot of language in there that prevents you from fighting, getting the fights you want at the weight you want, and there's a lot of different things that when somebody has promotional leverage over you, they can kind of they can pretty much like corner you into fights that aren't necessarily the best type of fights for you, or aren't for the best money for you, and all that stuff. So I mean, I can understand also from the fighter's perspective, when they want to try to get their way out of a contract that they feel is unfair in terms of what the revenue they bring, the eyes that they bring to the sport, the eyes that they bring to these fights, the subscribers and stuff that they bring to these networks. So Mikey Garcia is currently 34-0 with 28 knockouts. It's a fantastic record. I mean, it made even more fantastic by virtue of the fact that he dropped Salido several times when he fought Orlando Salido, and Orlando Salido, of course, went on to defeat not not only Vasily Lomachenko, but Orlando Cruz. He's a guy that's a rough, rugged guy, and Garcia beat Salido more clearly than anybody. He beat Salido more clearly than Juan Marquez did. He beat Salido more clearly than Yuriorkis Gamboa did. And he definitely beat him more clearly than Roman Martinez did. Matter of fact, he also beat Roman Martinez. He busted him up, beat Roman Martinez, and Martinez is the champion nowadays. Um, Funny enough, a guy that a lot of people want to consider pound for pound nowadays, even though he really doesn't deserve it as far as I'm concerned. Vasily Lomachenko is he lost to Salido and he's about to fight Martinez. Mikey Garcia made easy work of both of them. Easy work. I mean, and I guess you could say that the Salido fight wasn't quite easy work, but he made it look like easy work because I mean he that was a sheer domination. Yeah, sure, Salido was coming on a little bit in a couple those last couple of rounds before the cut stopped the fight, but even then Garcia was still landing the cleaner, more effective punches. So I mean, that's what it is. Mikey Garcia is a true pound for pound level talent, a true eye test pound for pound level talent as far as what he had been showing, but before this layoff that's been caused. And I mean, 126 and 130, he was pretty much unbeatable looking. Of course, now he's most likely going to be returning at 140, skipping over 135 entirely, because of course, he was having a lot of weight issues at 126 initially, and probably at 132 to a certain degree. So 140 will probably be very comfy for him, similar to, for instance, like a Floyd Mayweather, who as he moved up in weight, it was a lot less taxing on his body in terms of having to make the weight. He was fighting at a more natural weight for himself. I mean, as well as Manny Pacquiao, incidentally, um, as well as several other fighters. Marquez is another good example. But Mikey Garcia, it's good to see him make his return sometime. I'm sure in the near future. I'm not sure who he's going to be signing with, or I'm sure he's probably already signed with somebody. Because if this news just broke that he's been released, I'm sure Mikey's probably known about being released for you know a week, if not longer. So I'm sure he's probably already filled in offers from the Heyman side, from the Rock Nation side, from maybe even Golden Boy. I mean, who I'm not sure how much money they got in their coffers, to offer up to Mikey, but you never know. You never know. They definitely could use the the stardom on their part. But as far as Garcia is concerned, unto himself, um, it would appear as though I mean, some of the, I mean, just the sky's the limit for him. I mean, he's got plenty of opportunity in front of him. Hopefully, he gets a nice comeback fight. And I mean, he's a guy too that has appeared to pretty much stay in shape all year round. In spite of this long layoff. He's not a guy that blows up in weight, that yo-yos in weight, and that looks like just sloppy and just a guy that doesn't look like he's been training all this time. I mean, he's clearly been training all this time. You can see him in videos for the past couple of years, sparring with Brandon Rios, sparring with Marcos Maidana, sparring with all of Robert Garcia's other fighters. You know, sparring with Jesus Cuellar, sparring with sparring with the whole lot. You know, sparring with elite level talent. All the top guys that have ever pretty much gone through the Garcia Boxing Academy. Mikey Garcia has been sparring with them and getting working. You know, supposedly even hurt Madonna a little bit in sparring. So, you know, Mikey still has those heavy hands. He always had heavy hands, and not draining himself. I'm sure that that power will carry up just fine. So I mean, we'll see how he goes about it. You know, of course, if he signs on with the Heyman side of things, he's got Adrian Broner potentially. Or actually, well, Adrian Broner's he vacated. My bad. I was thinking of the fact that he had the title. But hey, the WBA is wide open in that case for Garcia to make his return. Um, and matter of fact, I mean, there isn't necessarily any catch right there with regard to him versus another like Heyman superstar. I mean, it's not like there would be any kind of selling out of one star over the other. I mean, Mikey Garcia would, if he was to sign with Heyman, for instance, would be pretty much the biggest name at 140 that'd be on the PBC side of things. So you got that. There's also Edward Troyanovsky, or if Cesar Cuenca beats Troyanovsky, there's Cesar Cuenca who has the IBF 140 belt. So I mean, it's gonna be real interesting to see how Mikey Garcia goes about it. Um, any number of fighters that he could fight are out there. We'll see how it goes, and I mean, it's gonna be real cool to see him back in action. He's only 28. He stayed in shape. Should still be pretty much in his physical prime. I doubt we'll see any ring rust because boxing is just an everyday thing to him. He trains. He's a guy that it looks like, I mean, pretty much just trains every day. I mean, not training camp training, but I mean, staying in shape training. So I'm sure that the wheels are pretty well worn for him. Similar to like Bernard Hopkins, for instance, a guy that stayed in shape year round, similar to Floyd Mayweather, who stays in shape year round. So it's gonna be real cool to see Garcia back in it, back in the mix. See if he can basically start reclaiming those pound for pound spots that he had been at before his layoff, and let's see what he does, man. I'm I'm ready for it.